are about to listen to is not another Bible study podcast. It is not a guided tour to the tangled history of the Christian church. It's not an attempt by someone vested by the power of a microphone to preach on how to live your life better, how to be more righteous, how to be a highly effective person using 7 awesome lines of Scripture. I am not a guy who even pretends to know more than, to be better than, or have a greater relationship with Christ than just about anyone else. So if you're looking for any of those things, an ecclesiastical history, a study group led by a church elder, a recipe for a great Easter ham, this ain't it. But hit me up in the comments. I listen to and read a lot of really great stuff, and I'd be happy to send you a link. So at this point, you may be asking yourself, well then, who exactly is this guy, and what have I stumbled into? For now, I'm going to use my online handle, GleeCon, because I am hip and cool. And also, that is what my humble online following knows me as. And while I do not profess to be a theological historian or scholar, while I am not ordained even by one of those online sites that facilitate quick and easy weddings, and while any prophetic visions I've received probably came after a night of questionable repute in my college years, I do approach this project with my own hard-won set of skills and viewpoints. I have a college background in ethnic studies, languages, and mathematics. I have had a long career as an educator and currently coordinate programs in public schools that call for and foster my nearly obsessive desire to complete marathon-length, meticulous projects that show their work and do not leave any step out, no matter how small. I was raised a Christian. I have been profoundly shaped by Christianity and the Christian church throughout my life, and I still consider myself Christian and am comfortable identifying as such publicly. But I've also always been and continue to be someone who constantly questions. And I've never been completely satisfied with any one codified set of explanations or apologetics of why Christianity is the one true way. And I'd like to get some better answers about that. In short, I'm probably a lot like a lot of you. Except I have this high-end microphone. And so, what is this project going to be exactly? If it's not a historical documentary, and it's not a self-help guide to spirituality, what are you even listening to? Okay, my vision is this. I want to unpack the Bible and Christian faith in the same way I spent years turning apathetic adolescents on to the mysteries of the quadratic equation. I want to tackle Holy Scripture in the same completionist manner that I use when I account for every head in a campus of thousands. I want to learn by your side, and I want to curate and present the things we study using the same tools of engagement I've spent my career honing. On this podcast, we will read every single page of the Bible together, in order. But we're also going to place each chapter within its context. We will discuss the history of each piece, the controversies, the most common ways the verses of each episode have been used by various denominations and factions, both religious and secular. And just like in the classroom, I'll be drawing illustrations for the visual audience to really hammer the key points home. From the spiciest and most divisive political arguments to the way a specific verse just can't stay out of pop songs, nothing will be off limits. The goal, in short, will be to learn and grow together, in general, and hopefully in our faith. But just as importantly, we're going to have fun. And that brings us to the beginning. In the beginning of this podcast, we will start exactly how the good book does with the creation of the universe. The book of Genesis, chapter 1, the 6 days of creation. And what a doozy of a place to start. It would not be hyperbole to say that this small collection of words from an ancient scroll are the most controversial, most debated, most dissected lines of writing in the history of mankind. We will begin the next episode, as we begin all of our episodes, by placing the chapter we're about to read in a historical context. Who wrote it? When was it written? Why is it even in the Bible? After we read these powerful words together, we will debrief, again as we will do in every episode. We will talk about the difficulties the chapter presents, regardless of your view of the Bible. We'll talk about some of the more interesting and frankly crazier ideas that this creation account has sparked. And in the end, as I will try and do every time, I will present the way that I have synthesized all of these arguments into my own personal brand of Christian faith. Now, I want to leave you with a disclaimer. I am not predisposed to fundamentalist biblical inerrancy. You want to listen to someone who only edifies that line of thinking, I'm probably not for you. I'm also not totally sold on the inevitability of things just because scientists think that they are so. The age of the world, the theory of evolution, gender roles, and sexual dynamics, all of these are up for debate. If you were hoping this would be all facts and no faith, I am going to disappoint you too. There's not a biblical scholar I have ever read that doesn't show their hand before the last page turns. So I want you to go forward with your eyes wide open. I'm immediately turned off by arguments that women cannot lead, that homosexuality is a sin, that God selects only a chosen few to be saved, and through a trick of geography, you might just be damned. I also suspect intelligent, deliberate creation. I believe the soul exists, and I believe it thrives in monogamous relationships, of which I've only experienced personally occurring between a man and a woman. And I think without God's wrath, God's love is empty of meaning. But Gleeful, your host here, is also a man who questions, and a person who's open to having his mind changed. To paraphrase the late great Isaac Asimov, explaining the universe with faith in the words of the Bible is authoritative and absolute, but it's not very compelling to others. While the logic of science makes very compelling arguments, but not ones that are often authoritative and even less often absolute. On our next and on every episode, we will try to create a space somewhere in the middle. Even better, we will have been putting in effort together towards improving the most important relationship that exists, the relationship between ourselves and God. So until next time, keep the faith and don't stop questioning.